when my own dad looked me in the eye and asked, "Honey, where's your car?" I had no idea that one simple question was about to blow up my entire life, but it did. That was the moment the truth about my husband and his mother finally unraveled, and their betrayal was so much worse than anything I could have ever imagined. Before we get into it, if you like stories like this, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. My life with Mark really felt like a dream. We met back in college, and our dreams just seemed to fit together. I was going to be a graphic designer, all about color and creativity. He was a business major, all about 5-year plans and sharp suits. He was so charming and made me feel like I was the only person in the world. When he proposed on campus, I didn't even hesitate. I just thought, this is it. This is my forever. We got married a year after we graduated and bought this cute little house, the kind with a picket fence that was almost too perfect. Our life was just easy. I loved how he'd hum off key while making breakfast on Saturday mornings, or the way his eyes would crinkle up when he smiled. We were always talking about our future kids, traveling, growing old together on our porch. I trusted him completely. I trusted him with my heart, my future, and our finances. And that right there was my first mistake. His mother, Carol, was always around. That is the nicest way I can put it. From day one, she treated me less like a daughter-in-law and more like a temp who was looking after her precious son. She would come over and rearrange my kitchen cabinets, criticize my cooking by offering helpful suggestions, and pull Mark aside to whisper like they had secrets I wasn't allowed in on. Mark would just laugh it off. "That's just how Mom is," he'd say. "She means well. She's just protective of me." I really tried to believe him, to see her controlling behavior as some twisted kind of love, but there was a small part of me that always felt on edge around her. The way she looked at me, with this flicker of coldness in her eyes, it made me feel like an intruder in my own house. A couple of years later, my grandmother passed away and left me some money. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was enough to pay off my student loans and buy a car, the first one that was all mine. It was this beautiful, deep blue SUV. It felt like more than just a car. It was my independence. And it was the last gift from my grandmother, who I absolutely adored. I took such good care of it, washing it every weekend. Mark seemed happy for me. He even put a big red bow on it the day I brought it home. But Carol, she made a weird comment. "Seems a little flashy for a new couple," she said. "I hope you two are saving." I just brushed it off as another one of Carol's little digs. I didn't realize she wasn't just being critical. She was taking notes. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. They were like little red flags I just walked right past because I was so focused on the happy life I thought we were building. The first major red flag popped up about a year ago. I was paying bills online and saw a credit card statement that made my stomach drop. The balance was thousands of dollars higher than it should have been. When I asked Mark about it, he got so defensive, almost angry. "I was going to tell you," he snapped. "It's for your anniversary gift. You ruined the surprise." I immediately felt guilty and started apologizing for prying. The anniversary came, and he took me to a nice dinner and gave me a bracelet. It was lovely, but there was no way it cost that much. When I gently brought it up again, he said the rest was for a surprise weekend trip he was planning. That weekend never happened, and I ended up paying off the card from our joint savings. I just told myself it was a one-time thing. After that, Carol started coming over more, and her comments got sharper. She'd go on and on about Mark's potential and how he was being held back. She would sigh and say things like, "A man can't succeed when he's weighed down by needless expenses," while looking from my car in the driveway straight at me. The message was loud and clear. I was the needless expense. She started bringing over food, insisting I was too busy with work to cook for her son. It was this sneaky little campaign to paint me as a bad wife. And Mark? He'd just shrug and say, "She's from a different generation, honey. Just let it go." Then Mark started working late. He'd always been a 9 to 5 guy, but suddenly he was at the office until 9 or 10 p.m. He'd come home exhausted, distant, and smelling strange, not like perfume, but like something stale and sterile I couldn't place. He was so irritable. If I asked if everything was okay at work, he'd accuse me of nagging. Can a guy work hard for his family without being interrogated? He'd snap. We were living in the same house, but we're miles apart. The stealing started so small, I thought I was going crazy. A pair of diamond earrings my parents gave me for my 21st birthday just disappeared from my jewelry box. I tore the house apart looking for them. When I finally mentioned it to Mark, totally heartbroken, it was Carol who spoke up. "Well, you've always been a bit forgetful, dear," she said with a fake smile. Mark just nodded, staring at his phone. They made me feel like I was just careless and irresponsible. I eventually gave up, assuming they were gone for good. The final red flag, the one I absolutely could not ignore, came about 3 months before everything fell apart. I logged into our joint savings account, the one for a down payment on a bigger house, and my blood ran cold. $10,000 was just gone. The world started spinning. I called Mark, my voice shaking. This time, he had a whole story ready. It was some complicated lie about a can't-miss stock tip from a guy at work. He said he'd invested it to surprise me with the profits. But the stock tanked. He swore he was sorry, that he'd pay it all back. He sat at our kitchen table and cried, telling me he just wanted to give me the world and felt like a failure. And I, like a complete fool, comforted him. I held my husband and told him we'd fix it together. I chose to believe his ridiculous lie because the truth was just too scary to even think about. I didn't know it wasn't a bad investment. It was a payment to keep his secrets hidden while he and his mother figured out what piece of my life to sell off next. Seriously, what would you have done? When you start seeing red flags like that, is it easier to just ignore them? Or do you face the music, knowing it could change everything? Let me know what you think in the comments. It is a question I've asked myself 1,000 times. The morning it all ended was a totally normal Tuesday. I woke up, made coffee, and got to work. Mark had supposedly left early for a big meeting. I remember thinking it was a nice day and that I should wash my car later. It wasn't until around 11 a.m. that I started to feel like something was off. I needed to go to the post office, but I couldn't find my car keys. They weren't in the little bowl by the door where I always put them. I checked my pockets, my desk, the kitchen, nothing. Annoyed, I decided I'd just walk. As I was locking the front door, I glanced at the driveway, and my heart just stopped. The spot where my blue SUV was supposed to be was completely empty. Panic just shot through my whole body. It's been stolen. That was my first thought. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely use my phone. I tried calling Mark. Voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. I sent a frantic text. "Mark, someone stole the car. Call me." Nothing. The silence was terrifying. I was just about to call the police when a car pulled into my driveway. It was my dad. He was just coming over to help me with some gardening, holding a bag of tulip bulbs with a smile on his face. But his smile vanished the second he saw me. "What's wrong, honey? You look like you've seen a ghost." My voice came out as a whisper. "The car. It's gone. I think someone stole it." My dad, always the practical one, went right into problem-solving mode. "Okay, calm down. Let's not jump to conclusions. Are you sure Mark didn't take it? Maybe it needed an oil change?" "He had a meeting," I said, the words feeling empty. "He took his car, and I can't get a hold of him." "All right," my dad said, his face now creased with worry. He walked over and looked toward our neighbor's house, who had a security camera pointed right at our driveway. Let's go ask John if we can check his footage. If someone took it, we'll see it. Mr. Miller was happy to help. The three of us stood there, huddled around his computer as he rewound the footage from last night. And then, we saw it. At 2:17 a.m., clear as day under the night vision, our garage door opened. My blue SUV backed out. My dad leaned in closer. Is that Mark? It was. It was him. The camera got a perfect shot of my husband, Mark, getting out to close the garage, then getting back into my car and just driving off into the night. He wasn't the victim of a robbery. He was the robber. I couldn't breathe. None of it made sense. Why would he take my car in the middle of the night and lie about it? My dad put a hand on my shoulder. There's something very wrong here, honey. Right then, my phone buzzed. A text from Mark. It was so breezy and casual it felt like a slap in the face. Hey, sorry, crazy meeting. Had to grab your car this morning, mine wouldn't start. Battery must be dead. We'll explain later. Love you. The lies were so obvious it was insulting. His car, which was now gone, supposedly wouldn't start. But we just watched him drive my car away at 2 in the morning. His car was already gone. I showed the text to my dad. He read it, and his face just hardened into stone. He looked from the phone to me, and then he asked the simple question that made everything crash down around me. Honey, where's your car? He didn't mean it literally. We knew it was gone. He meant, what is really going on here? And in that instant, I knew. I couldn't make excuses for him anymore. The whole perfect life I thought I had just shattered. A cold, awful feeling washed over me. I knew where he was. I knew who was in on it with him. It was a gut instinct I'd been pushing down for years, and it was screaming at me now. Carol. I have to go, I told my dad. My voice didn't have any panic in it anymore. It was just eerily calm. I'm coming with you, he said, and his tone made it clear there was no arguing. The drive to my mother-in-law's house was completely silent. I just stared out the window, replaying every lie, every red flag, every condescending comment. The missing earrings, the bad investment, his anger, her smirks. This wasn't just a series of bad choices. This was a conspiracy. As we turned onto Carol S. Street, I saw it. Parked right in her driveway, gleaming in the sun like it was mocking me, was my blue SUV. I thought I was going to be sick. My dad pulled in right behind it, blocking it in. He turned to me and asked, "Are you ready for this?" I just nodded. I couldn't speak. We walked up to the front door and I rang the bell. I heard whispering inside, then quick footsteps. Carol opened the door. The look on her face went from annoyed surprise to pure panic when she saw me, and especially when she saw my father standing right behind me like a mountain. "What are you doing here?" she stammered, trying to block the door. "I'm here for my husband, Carol," I said, my voice like ice. "And my car." I pushed right past her, and there he was, Mark, sitting on her floral sofa with a cup of tea, looking like he was just having a nice afternoon chat with his mom. He shot up when he saw me, his face a perfect mask of shock and guilt. What are you doing here? How did you know?" How did I know? I laughed, but it was a bitter, ugly sound. "My dad and I just watched a video of you stealing my car in the middle of the night, Mark. The text about your dead battery was a nice touch, though. Real creative." He started sputtering, trying to form a lie, but nothing came out. "I was going to tell you it is not what it looks like." "Then what does it look like, Mark?" I demanded, my voice getting louder. "Because it looks like you and your mother worked together to steal my car." That S when Carol found her voice, and all the poison I always knew was there came pouring out. "We didn't steal it. We did what had to be done. You and your reckless spending have been ruining this family." My reckless spending? I couldn't believe it. I bought a car with my own inheritance. A car you were about to sell, weren't you? The silence told me everything. My eyes landed on a folder on the coffee table. I grabbed it. Inside were the title and a bill of sale, already filled out. They were going to sell my car. Today. Oh my God, I whispered, the full weight of it finally hitting me. The jewelry, the $10,000. That wasn't a bad stock tip, was it? You've been stealing from me. Both of you. Mark finally broke. He just sank back onto the couch and put his head in his hands. I have debts, he mumbled. Gambling debts. The word just hung there in the air. Gambling. He wasn't having an affair. He hadn't made a bad business deal. It was something so much dirtier, so much more pathetic. He had gambled our entire future away. He got in over his head, Carol said, rushing to his side. He made mistakes, but he was trying to fix it. He didn't want to worry you. Worry me, I screamed, the calm finally shattering. You didn't want to worry me, so you stole from me? You made me think I was losing my mind when my grandmother's earrings went missing? You let me think we lost our life savings? This isn't helping him, this is enabling him, I yelled at Carol. Then I turned to Mark. And you are a thief and a liar. My dad, who had been completely silent this whole time, stepped forward. His voice was low and dangerous. You will give my daughter her keys, you will sign that title back over to her, and then you are going to pack your things and get out of her house. Carol puffed out her chest. You have no right to make demands in my home. This is a family matter. No, my dad said, his voice cutting her off. This stopped being a family matter the second your son became a criminal. And what you've both done is criminal. We have the video. We have this fraudulent bill of sale. We have financial records. This is a legal matter now. The look on their faces, that sudden, horrified realization that they hadn't just broken my heart. They had also broken the law that was the beginning of my freedom. They weren't just terrible people. They were caught. That moment in Carol S.'s living room was the end of my marriage. I took my keys, I took the folder with my car's title, and I walked out of that house without looking back. My dad followed me, and as the door clicked shut, I heard Carol start to sob. They weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of getting caught. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers and paperwork. Mark tried calling and texting to apologize, but his words meant nothing. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was just sorry he got caught. I filed for divorce immediately. With all the evidence we had, my lawyer made sure it was quick. I got the house and what was left of our money. I also pressed charges for the theft. It wasn't about revenge. It was about consequences. They had to learn that their actions had a price. I sold the house. It was full of too many ghosts and too many lies. I moved into a new apartment in a different part of the city, a place that was all mine. I poured myself into my work, built up my business, and reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. I learned to trust my gut. I learned to see red flags not as something to make excuses for, but as a warning sign to protect myself. It has been 2 years now, and I am happy, truly happy, in a way I never was with Mark. My life is simpler now, but it is honest. My blue SUV is still parked outside, and it's not just a symbol of my independence anymore. It is a reminder of my strength. The betrayal from my husband and mother-in-law was a deep wound, but it didn't break me. It showed me a strength I never knew I had. Sometimes, the worst thing that happens to you is the very thing that sets you free. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you. Your support really does mean the world.